to the first episode of About the Cards podcast. I'm Tim. You'll be your host today at Big Shep on Twitter. Today with me I have Ben and Stefan. Welcome, guys.
Welcome. How's it going?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Well, I just want to welcome you all. One sec, sorry, fellas. I just wanted to welcome everybody to our first episode, and we did have a trial run last week, and it's going to be out there on our YouTube page. Please follow us at About the Cards on YouTube and on Twitter as well. We're a podcast by collectors for collectors, and hopefully we'll bring you some smart and insightful discussion about trading cards and card collecting. We're going to be live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Coast time, or 8 or 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'd like just to go around and introduce ourselves, who we are, what we collect, how we got into collecting. So we'll start off with Stefan.
Sure. Start off with me. A huge Twins collector. I started super young. I think my dad came back with a set of 91 tops and 1990 score that I broke open that I shouldn't have. I got in a lot of trouble over at the time, but that's the basic gist of how I started sometime in the mid-90s. And since then, I've branched into trying to get at least one of every base card for Topps, Donruss, Upper Deck, Leaf, the main branches. And I collect my Twins. I have some really nice hits here and there. And I don't know. We'll discuss it sooner or later.
Outstanding, Ben.
Hey, I'm Ben Wilson. You can find me at Our Trading Cards. That's OUR Trading Cards on Twitter. I've been buddies with these guys for the last couple of years. I think Tim and I probably met around 2012 or so. Met Stefan online at the same time, I believe, through Twitter. These are my besties. I was a collector probably in 1986. In fact, it was September 15th, 1986. My cousin's birthday party. He was turning 10. Everybody got 2 packs of 1986 Topps cards. I didn't know anything about this hobby or what cards were. I had a few Star Wars cards, and I pulled a couple of A's cards, and my family were A's fans, so it was kind of inevitable. And then my dad's like, hey, if this is a hobby you want to follow, cool, pick me up a Beckett. I went through my cards, and I found out that the Eric Davis card at that time was worth $1.25. I was 7 at the time, and I had a card that was worth $1.25. I'll tell you what, I was rich. I was going to sell this card, and I was going to buy a yacht. And the thought process of a young child and what that meant, and blossomed from there. Set collector. We tried to collect anything and everything we could. When I say we, my dad and I. And then my parents divorced in the early 90s. As a lot of collectors of the junk wax era, I think a lot of people started to kind of fade away. Probably right around the same time I did, around 92, 93. I found myself in a local card shop in 2010 to buy some McFarlanes. Convinced the wife we should buy one box of one sport. She chose football. And, thousands upon thousands of dollars later, 8 years later, here we are. I've narrowed my focus, and we'll get into that, like Stefan said, probably over time. I'm now just an ace collector. I only collect green and gold. I don't care about players that were used to be Cardinals and now are A's, like a Stephen Piscotty. I only want his cards in green and gold. I collect anything and everything. My collection goes from 1909 to 2018. I'm looking to collect every base card ever produced. From what, like Stefan said, all the major ones, and then all the inserts as well. And then parallels and the hits will just kind of come as they come. So that's kind of a little bit of my history. So if anybody's out there listening and you have ace cards, you know where to send them.
Outstanding. Yeah, like I said, I'm Tim Shepler at Big Shep 79. I've been collecting since 86, 87. It was the real first year I remember collecting. My dad started me. I'd be a pack or two after a practice or a baseball game, and collected up until the strike in '94. Coincided with me starting high school, and I was really upset with baseball at the time, and I loved baseball, and kind of fell out of collecting until I moved, and I bought a house, and my parents were like, "Hey, you got to come get all your crap out of the garage," and found all my cards again. Started kind of going through them, and in 2012, hopped in with Top Series 1 and pulled a pulled an auto out of there, and I think it was Ubaldo Jimenez, and I was like, oh man, like he was pretty good at the time. I figured I'd hit something great. So it was one of those things where it kept going. I collect. I'm a big set collector. Really got into building sets and putting them together. I've got every set from I do tops, so it's every set from 78 through 2018, and I'm working on 70 through 77 right now, and probably about 40% on all those. Probably the closest on 75 and 77. Huge George Beck collector. So any Brett you have, I'm trying to get a copy of every card issued while he played after his career. If I come across it, awesome. I'm going to add it in my collection, but it's not something I'm actively collecting. The reason being is that there's like 3 times as many cards since he retired as then during his 20-year Major League career. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. I collect Barry Sanders as well a little bit. My grandpa coached him for a year in high school, helped him get recruited at Oklahoma State. I got to hold his Heisman in the January of '89, and that was pretty amazing as a little kid to do that. So this hobby's been so much fun to me. It's brought me through some down times and some up times, and it's just a fun thing for me to do, and kind of take the stress out of work and have some fun doing it. You guys can follow us, like I said, on Twitter about the cards. We actually are on iTunes. The podcast will post there shortly after we air tonight, and we're working on getting on Stitcher as well. And you can also follow us on YouTube about the cards. And like I said, our first episode's there. It is on iTunes and on YouTube. So a couple of things. We're going to have some every week topics that we're going to cover and do that and go through. They're always looking for suggestions of things you'd love us to cover and get into. We're hopefully going to at some point and have some collectors on with us and do some interviews. The first thing we want to do is kind of cover what the week that was. So last week's releases. Last week, Topps Finest Baseball released, and was right now it's a $139.95 a box on Blowout. You get 2 mini boxes and a master box. There's 6 packs per mini box, and you get 5 cards per pack. Usually you're supposed to get 2 autos per box break. They have the highlights are the finest autos, finest first autographs, which are for the rookies, finest hour autographs. There's a 25 extended base set short prints, and then you have the finest mystery redemption set as well. Ben, I know as an A's guy, you were after some of these cards. What did you think of them so far?
I haven't held any in hand yet, but just looking at them, I was absolutely in love with last year's set. I collected a lot of the Ryan Healy ones. In fact, I think I got all or close to all of the rainbow. So they've got that refractor look. It's a really sharp looking set, and I know it's extremely popular amongst collectors. It's not a huge base set, if I'm not mistaken. But
an example.
The base design is really sharp. If you're into the chromes, Topps Chrome, Bowman Chrome, the old Panini Prism, it's definitely right in line with those. So, it's a solid set with, as you mentioned, there are a few inserts like the finest cornerstones, sitting red. I've bought the Matt Olson and the Chris Davis. I can't wait to get those in hand because those inserts, at least on eBay and on the sell sheet, look absolutely fantastic. So I'll be excited when I get those in hand so I can kind of take a look at those.
Stephen,
have you taken a look at them or opened any?
I haven't opened much this year, finest not included. But I have seen some. I've seen some at the local store. The cards look great. They feel kind of like like Ben said, the Panini Prism, similar type texture, feel, design. It's kind of, I kind of think of Finest as like the Topps Chrome Supreme Edition. I do like the set, and I do like the auto breakdown, but it's just not a set for me. I try to get base sets versus chasing the number one of one super auto fractor.
It's a nice bridge set for the lower end collector versus the higher end. So if you're a base set collector, you like flagship, you like Bowman, Bowman Chrome, which can get, of course, extremely pricey. And you're not necessarily on the 5-star and the museum collection tribute, which are more hit based. Finest is kind of a nice bridge between the two. The checklist looked pretty healthy as far as a nice blend for each team, for team collectors, which is always a plus.
I think my Royals only had 2 cards though.
The A's only had 3 base. So you figure what was the base set? 150 cards.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not a lot, but I mean it is a good looking set. I like the, if there's a rookie or two that you're into, it's always a really nice base rookie to have of a guy. Like I bought the Ohtani. I got it for like $13 on eBay, and I was happy with it just because I like the design. It looks clean, but again, it's not something I'm going out and buy. But I do pick up every year. I'll pick off a few singles or an auto or two for my team that I like. So
it's not a very robust base checklist, so it's nice. There's 3 A's, there's 2 Royals. I don't know how many Twins, but most teams outside of probably the Yankees and Red Sox probably have between 2 to 4 cards. So if you're a base collector, if you're a team collector, player collector, it's nice because you're not getting a ton of cards. You don't have this checklist that's ridiculously huge like Flagship and whatnot. So if you just want to kind of go in and cherry pick a couple of cards here and there, maybe some of the hot rookies or popular players, get in, get out, and move on to the next product. Finest is a really nice, medium range. You could probably spend $30 to $50 on the secondary market and end up with a nice stack of cards for your personal collection.
Yeah, I think Brent was selling a complete set for about $70, which is not a bad deal. A little less than a box runs. The other big release that came out last week was 2018 Panini Luminance. It's $112 a box per blowout. You get 4 packs per box, 10 cards per pack. You're going to get 3 autos, 1 mem, 4 insert cards. The big highlight was they had draft day autos. So it's some of the top end NFL rookies coming in that signed them on draft day. So it doesn't list their team, lists their college, but then their base cards list their actual NFL team, which is pretty. And these were like a little thicker card stock. They reminded me of Fleer Ultra with some of the graphics that they had. And I want to say it was like 98 baseball design, very similar to that. It was a great. I haven't been a huge fan of collecting football in the last few years, but I saw a break of this and it was one of the products that really like, whoa, I want to go out and probably pick a few of these cards up to have in my collection. Good looking cards. I know that Ben, you're not a huge football guy, but have you or Stefan seen them at all or have any thoughts on them?
Yeah, I was just going to look them up here real quick on Blowout and take a look at the sell sheet. I don't personally collect anything outside of A's cards, so no other sports. I used to collect quite a bit of football. It's always nice right after the draft that they have a couple of products that feature the rookies without their NFL team, because you're drawing the if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, you're drawing in the Cleveland Browns fans, but then you're also if you with Baker Mayfield, for instance, and you still have the college as well. So it's kind of a bridge between people that want to collect the college. If like you said, you're a Barry Sanders guy, so it probably doesn't matter if he's on a Lions or an Oklahoma card, if that's your cup of tea. So it's always kind of fun, back when I used to collect football, to kind of grab your favorite player while they were still, Khalil Mack, for instance, at Buffalo, and then you can grab his Raider card at the same time, or next couple of releases. Those are always kind of fun. Just like in baseball, you have the USA Baseball ones and Elite Extra Edition, Pro Debut, which is actually with the minor league team affiliated versus the college. So it's kind of fun to diversify your PC a little bit, so it's not all team related. At least that's kind of my opinion.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm looking at the spec sheet here. Some of the cards I was getting a mid-90s feel. However, I was thinking more along the lines of what Pinnacle was popping out.
There you go. Yeah.
The really nice gold foil on the fronts, really sharp, crisp photos across the designs. And like Ben was saying, it's a good split between people who want to collect their college teams, people that want to collect the huge major rookies of the year. candidates, as well as somebody who wants their Titans or Vikings or Dolphins or insert team here in their fresh first official card, without having to wait for Donruss or the base sets.
Yeah, and I like that some of those draft day autos, most of them they were on card, and you don't see a lot of that right off the bat because you have to wait for the premiere, and then a lot of that stuff comes out of stickers. So I want to move on to this week. So hot off the presses, which is our new release, going to be our new release segment, and one of our favorite sets, I think that at least mine, I think Ben's there too. Top Series 2 came out today. You got Bryce Harper on the cover. Series 1 had his buddy Mike Trout. And, you can get a jumbo box for $129.95 with 2 silver packs, which are pretty nice from Blowout. You're getting 10 packs per box, 50 cards per pack. Usually you can complete a full base set, so 500 total cards. You're going to get 1 auto, 1 mem, a manufacturer relic in that box breakdown. The hobby box, which have been super hot. We'll get into that. They're running $69.95 on Blowout, and you get 1 silver pack there. You're getting 37 packs overall out of a box, 10 cards per pack, so 360 cards total. You're going to get one of these. You're going to get an auto, a mem, or a relic card out of there. You got a 350 card base set. Some of the cool things popping out to, you have the 83 Topps rookie. They have a 99 card set, which is weird because the first series was 100. This is 99. You have 75 all-star cards in there of the 83 design and 24 rookies. They also have autograph versions of those too. You have long ball legends, 50 of the greatest home runs hit. Those have autos. You also have instant impact players who had a breakout season earlier in their career. There's 50 of those cards. They have auto relics of those. There's all-star manufactured relic pins, patch things. They're the same design as the all-star game happened. So a few of the years I saw were 61. It was the same design as the 61 set. 80, 84, 87 was really cool. It had the board, the card, the wood grain border. There's short prints and short, the SSP variations. The SP variation code number ends in 412, and the SSP ends in 44 or 414, and then the 2 rookies end in 249, which are cards 689 and 699 for Ronald Acuna and Gleyber Torres. You also get MLB The Show code cards in there, and those things are selling like crazy. They're selling for over $5 a piece on eBay. But what's funny is that I watched a case break of that jumbo case break today, 6 jumbo boxes, and they only pulled 5. And I went to my LCS on my lunch break, and I bought 10 loose hobby packs, and I pulled 3.
Wow.
We've heard a lot from Brent Williams. We're going to get into that here shortly on this product. There's some really notable rookies in there. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani, card number 700's in there. Scott Kingery, I know he's not a great season, but he's a guy to watch. And then, like I said, Acuna and Gleyber Torres. I was actually lucky enough to pull Mr. Acuna out of one of those 10 packs. It was a good 10 packs at the store today when they didn't have my jumbo box, which hopefully they'll have for me tomorrow. Yeah. So what do you guys think? Have you busted any Series 2, purchased any? Looking to get some?
I haven't broken anything down yet. I'm really slacking on my breaking this year. However, I'm really looking forward to finishing off my team set for the year. I usually like to try to break a few packs and then trade for the rest, just to get that juvenile feel again. And no, I really like some of the short print images that they use. It's very Stadium Club, and I like that they went back instead of having like a minute difference between them or like a slight photo difference, that they brought back some of the veteran players, Hank Aaron, Derek Jeter. I saw Babe Ruth. That was gorgeous card, the Babe Ruth short print. If you haven't seen it, go check it out for sure.
Yeah, George Brett had one too, which I picked up.
Cal Ripken, I like that one. He's kind of like lounging in the grass or something. That was a I looked over the short print list, and it's definitely robust. You're looking at about 100 cards, right? 75, 25, or it's only 24 on the rookies.
Something to that effect, yeah.
Yeah. So, there was only 2 A's short prints, which I was excited about. It's kind of, there's so many of these cards to collect. Sometimes you're rooting for them not to have any, just
Right.
so it'll save you money. I was telling my wife earlier today, I was like, with the legend, there's a Reggie Jackson one, but he's a Yankee. And I was like, maybe I'll pick that one up. The Babe Ruth one, like Stefan said, that's a good looking card. Jackie Robinson's good looking.
The
Like I
Ted
said,
Williams was cool. He was in the dugout with the bat. That was kind of
Yeah,
cool.
that was my other top favorite.
it's a nice looking set, but there's quite a few of them. And I was telling Heather, it's like, if you're going to grab one, because we're all like completionists, where we have to have them all, you're going to buy one, you have to have them all. And so it's like, do you just jump in and, $5 a piece just to grab the legends? And I know a lot of those are going to probably sell for considerably more. You'd almost have to pick and choose which ones you want. But if you did get a chance to collect them all at some point, even if it was a project over time, man, that would be a sharp looking set of just the legends. Because the Ricky Henderson is gorgeous. I've already picked that one up. So they look nice. Personally, I've bought a lot of Series 2 already. Our friend Brent sold me the base A's team set along with the gold set and rainbow set. I get all my inserts from him.
And then really quick, when he means Brent, we're talking of Brent Williams of Brent and Becca on eBay and on Twitter. Great if you're looking to get any of the big breaks or the big releases every year, he's going to have them for you, and he's always going to have a lot. So,
as a matter of fact, I was just checking my text messages because he has a couple more A's. So he's like, he right now has my finest pile, my Series 2 pile, which is much higher, and then. He's like, this is how much it's going to cost for everything. And he's texting me, he goes, hey, I got this, and this. You want those too? I'm like, well, yeah. Okay, well, send me this much more. So it's like, well, before I send you money, have you opened everything already? Do you know everything you have for sale? Because I'll be your Huckleberry. Let's figure this out. It's going to save him from having to list them. It's going to save him from having to get fees. So he's really good. I mean, he's a collector's best friend, because he really will work with you on pricing. He knows our budgets. I was telling somebody the other day, there's exactly 2 people I will send PayPal friends and family to, aside from you guys. Oh. And that would be my dad and Brent, because I know he's trustworthy. And, all the way around, it saves me a ton of money. He gives me everything I want. There's another text from him right now, in fact. But it's a good way for me to kind of consolidate with one buyer. And, again, it's kind of like buying from a local coffee shop versus the evil empire. You keep that money local. I'd much rather help Brent and his business. And sometimes I've paid a little bit more just to buy from him versus some random eBay seller that may or may not have sterling feedback, but I don't know that guy.
Yeah.
I know Brent, and I'd much rather buy from somebody I know. And then you get that anticipation of knowing, hey, all right, Brent's going to send me a package. And that day is going to be Christmas in whichever month it is at that time.
Yeah, I made a mistake today. I went on there and I wanted to buy he had the Ohtani rookies for a good price. And I put a, buy now offer or, sent him an offer on it and said, hey, can you ship these with my team sets? And he accepted the offer. And then I went to pay him. And as I'm paying him, he tweets me and he's like, hey, don't pay yet because I can just drop it in your box. If you pay now, I have to ship it right now too. And I did. I didn't have to pay the shipping, but you know what? It's just a few bucks. And I don't care because I bought my Royals team set, my Giants team sets from him. He always emails me and gives me a heads up. Hey, these are coming out. What do you want from this? And if you buy from him, consistently, you're not. And I don't probably spend as much as Ben every year with him because I do open a little bit more because I like opening packs. But he gives you a great deal, and if he knows your team, he's going to make sure that you get your guys or your team, which is really good. And a couple of things, like he's been awesome whenever like series, when a flagship releases, especially in Heritage, he's and a few of the other things he breaks, but usually flagship, he's giving you really good details. Because last I looked, he was a 35 cases deep, and he had yet to pull a own the name patch, which is one of the letters off of a jersey, and 35 cases of jumbo hadn't gotten one. And I was in a box break earlier with the guys I like to break with, Mojo Break, and I had the Royals, and they pulled the Salvador Perez Z for me, a 1 of 1. And so I'm really excited. But that was an awesome awesome hit for my PC, but now it's like showing as even rarer pull than normal. He was some breakdown he gave us on silver packs. They seem to be running hot and cold. Autos have been really scarce. I got two packs earlier today, and I pulled I guess it's a good day for me. I'm bragging a little bit, but Travis Shaw, and this is numbered at 149. Any Brewers collectors, let me know. We can hook somebody up with that. But he said some packs. So the boxes they come in from Topps, there's 72 packs, and he was getting feedback that out of those 72 packs, 7-8 of them are having a card that had any color to it, like orange, blue, red. And then others he's hearing the boxes are yielding 22 to 27 colored variations, which is crazy. He's pulled over 100 1983 autographs and only 75 cards in that set, and he only has 22 of the 75 guys out of 100 autos. So he's doubling and tripling up, and he was none of which were all-stars or the retired players. So if you're pulling an all-star card or retired player card from the 83 set in there, that's a really rare pull. And he started opening just the hobby boxes, and I think he pulled out a red auto right off the bat out of the first case. And it seems that hobby and the 83 red autos, that's where they are. And, I asked him, I'm like, hey, should I buy this jumbo box tomorrow? Or should I buy 2 hobby boxes? It's the same price. I'm going to miss out on a hit, which is not a big deal, but is there more value in there with the code cards, with these other autos coming out? And he's like, yeah, buy hobby. And so I want to ask you guys, what's a better buy this year, buying a box of hobby for $67 or buying a jumbo box for $140, or even buying two hobbies versus one jumbo? What do you think?
The odds usually are in the favor of jumbo. Obviously not this year, at least as far as one breaker's 30 count case break set so far. Personally, I prefer to break jumbo just because there's less mess, less packs laying around. However, but then again, that also takes away the fun of opening up the full Series 2 regular hobby box. Odds-wise, it seems to be that hobby has a better odds, but I think it comes down to preference, and if you're chasing a certain thing or a certain relic auto from a different series or that, for me.
Yeah, Ben, what would you do if you had $140? What are you doing?
It's tough for me to answer that from my perspective, and the reason being is because I would buy a singles. I would buy all the autos and relics, and again, let me tell a quick story unrelated to this, and then I'll answer your question. What turned me off personally in the value of hobby, I like opening packs like everybody else, but in 2012, Topps Chrome came out. It was $90 a box, 2 guaranteed autos. You only got 180 base cards on 220 card set. So as a set collector, you're not even guaranteed, full set. 2 autos are what they're going to be. They could be great. They could be throwaway autos, and that was a big year for the A's. Jared Parker was a stud that had just come over in a trade with Arizona. Cespedes was a rookie. Tommy Malone had been called up. I think Colin Cowgill was part of that set. I think there's 1 or 2 other guys. And I ended up buying a complete Topps Chrome set for $25. I gobbled up 6 A's autos for $45. So I'm $70 out of pocket. I have a complete set and 6 autos, all for my favorite team.
Yep.
And I still have $20 left over. And that was kind of my, come to Jesus moment where I was like, there's just not a lot of value in a box. Yeah, I'm never going to hit a Mike Trout. I'm never going to hit a Ohtani. It's not going to happen because I don't open up enough packs. Once in a while, I'll grab something at Walmart, but that's just kind of the, open a pack. If I took a step back and took my collecting, wants and needs and set them aside and just look from the economics of it, 2 hobbies versus 1 jumbo, same cost. What are you getting in the hobbies versus what are you getting in the jumbos? Like you said, you're guaranteed you're guaranteed a complete set in a jumbo, more or less. So many inserts, so many hits. I think each of us would have to answer that question for ourselves what are you looking to get out of the box? Are you looking to get mass enjoyment? Go with hobby because you're going to get to open more packs. Like Stefan said, there's less mess with jumbo. But if you like to open, if you got a couple of kids that are 8, 10, 12 that just want to rip, go with hobby. If you're specifically looking to get your set and you want to guarantee yourself a set, go with jumbo. If you want your hits, jumbo probably is a better way to go, although there are hobby exclusives in flagship like there always are. However, as we've mentioned with what Brent is saying, everybody on Twitter is going nuts over this case and that case, and it looks like there's more value in hobby at the moment. It's a small sample size, and we're going based off of one huge breaker's educated opinion. But if Brent comes out there to all of his followers and says, hey, open up hobby instead of jumbo, I'm sorry, I don't care really what your motivation is. He's telling you there's more value in it. And if I can get 2 hobby boxes, I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice and assume I'm going to get a complete set. And the color cards are more prevalent there. So to answer your question, if you must open boxes, at least for Series 2, hobby might trump jumbo. That may not be the case with update. So, you're going to have to stay tuned. We can only take it on a release by release basis on this case.
Well, I think they're trying to do something here. We talked last week about this in Series 2, with the 2 short prints of Acuna and Torres. I think they're trying to drive more business into Series 2 over the last few years, because like we talked is last week is you can check that episode out on YouTube and also on iTunes, that you go and find Series 2 boxes later in the year and the next year, the following year, all over the place. Check out Blowout, Dave and Adam and Dave and Adam's Card World. I don't go there.
Yeah, DNA.
Steel City. You go to your local card shop. You go to the retail section, Walmart and Target and all those repack products. You always see Series 2 in there, and I think it's because they save a lot of the good rookies for update because they're called up after they've already got Series 2 set up, because they start Series 2 right after Series 1, right as the season's starting. And some of these clubs now, like that Chris Bryant rule, where they're waiting to bring them up until April, the last couple weeks of April or early May, because they get an extra year on their contract. They can't force them into a set, and so then they all end up on update, which then makes update super valuable.
Yeah, the Super 2s are definitely going to have an impact on them being able to squeeze them into Series 2. Another thing to kind of consider is like a movie trilogy. The first one kind of peaks and has a hero moment. That middle movie is kind of or the middle of a book can sometimes be down a little bit, and usually is your melodramatic moments, and you're gonna see the sadness in there before the third one kind of comes home and should in theory drive everything and kind of put a bow on it. When Series 1 comes out, it's the first major release of the year. It comes out in February. We're all excited. Topps hasn't released anything in 6 to 8 weeks. We're anticipating our tax returns. Most of us have kind of got over the Christmas high, so boom, flagship, it's right there in your face. Update, we'll skip Series 2 for a moment. Update is in October. It's right before the Christmas season. Like you said, you're going to have a lot of those late call-ups, trades, all-star highlights, things along those lines. What do you get dad for Christmas? What do you get your 12-year-old kid for Christmas? You get him a box of Update. So you kind of have things going for both of those. The dog days of summer, right at the beginning of June, school is getting out. People are graduating. People are going on family vacations. Series 2 just as it's a victim of the calendar, in my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, but people are focused elsewhere with their monies. People are running off to Disneyland and Disney World and Hawaii. They're not really thinking about spending their finite resources on a box of baseball cards. So yeah, you have to have something that drives Series 2. So I think Series 2 is always like the forgotten one. Oftentimes, I relate it to that middle movie of a trilogy where maybe Back to the Future 2 was the best of the theory, but then you get the underrated ones like Empire Strikes Back and the Star Wars trilogy, where it's often overlooked and underappreciated for what it is. I think Series 2 kind of falls into that same category.
You also have Temple of Doom, by the way.
Yeah, well, if you're Harrison Ford guy.
Yeah. Well, so I do like it. I think that it's kind of neat that hobby boxers are getting some love over the jumbo, because usually it's the jumbo everybody's after. I want to move on to Topps Living. You got it updated today for this week, so you have under a week now to go purchase these cards 40, 41, and 42. See if you can guess who card number 42 is. Card number 40 is Scott Kingery, a rookie. Number 41, Joey Ricard, and if you don't know who he is, he plays for the Baltimore Orioles. And card number 42, any guesses?
I would think that that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah,
you can see that one coming from a mile away.
Is it Mariano Rivera?
Yeah, Dave Henderson.
Yeah, no, it is Mr. Jackie Robinson. So that's my pick that's going to sell the most cards this week. But if you're a buying man and you want to go out and pick one up, I went and bought one today. I bought a Joey Ricard for $4.95.
I thought you were going to say Kingery. I honestly did.
No, I did buy Kingery as well because I'm buying all of the rookies. But I bought Ricard because we talked about Eric Sogard.
Right.
And we talked about Nick Markakis, by the way, who's could be an all-star, and he's got the lowest number print run. I think that Joey Ricard has an option to be that, or right in that neighborhood of the bottom 5 print runs.
Yeah, I spoke with Brent last week. Honestly, I've bought from this guy for 3 years. I talked to him on the phone probably for the first time. Earlier this week, I had a few questions regarding Series 2. And I'm like, all right, Mr. Expert. I know I think we mentioned in our podcast last week that he had bought quite a few with the intent to put together sets. And I asked him, if he thought that Eric Sogard was going to be, along the lines of Markakis and a couple of guys that sold like in the 3,000 range, and how many he was buying. And, I'll keep his amount private. That's for him to share. But yeah, there's a finite amount of these sets. I mean, what was it, about 2,500, 2,600 of Markakis?
Yeah, I would say it was right under 2,700, I believe is the number.
Ricard has to hit that number. Otherwise, there's a precipitous drop. If he hits 1,800, all of a sudden, there's 800 Markakis cards that, all of a sudden overnight got devalued because you're not going to run out and buy him if you don't have the Ricard, if you're not trying to buy the complete set. Now, where I would challenge your theory would be, it has gained a little bit of steam lately. It is conducive to buy the 3 from Topps if you're buying directly from them. So for those people out there pursuing Jackie, I definitely think that they might buy the 3. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ricard in the bottom 5, but I do think he eclipses Markakis. I think Markakis will probably be the lowest card print run for the foreseeable future. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I believe so too. I was just for $5. I figured it was a nice little gamble to see what would happen.
Well, you wasted your $5. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the thing is though, he's probably on that whole list. He's probably the least known guy so far by a lot, because even Sogard's known as was a baseball nerd.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat. We'll keep updating this. I think we talked last week. I love the look of the set. I think it's a cool idea. Let's just hope they continue to do it, and it comes in a similar fashion as it has been.
One thing Brent did tell me, because one of the questions that we kind of were discussing last week, and again, if anybody's listening, we definitely encourage you to listen to our dry run, which is our first unofficial week. We discussed if the look was going to change. Right now, we're in the 1953 design, and I asked him. I said, "What do you think moving into 2019? Are they going to change it to 56 or 62 or 71, 87? So some of the popular designs throughout the years." And he said that as long as Topps is up for sale, and he said as long as the ownership at Topps stays steady, the series should continue. Because that was my other question: is how long do you honestly foresee this series running? Because it's the never-ending set. And he said as long as the ownership stays the same, it'll go as long as people are buying it. If ownership changes, you never know if they'll let it go.
Well, I think it'd be a good idea to keep it. I mean, you see how well that the Topps now does, and this Topps Living set. I mean, it's just kind of like, hey, we can print some cards and make some quick cash, and have it available. And there's not a lot of output into it. We print to the number we need, and then we send them out, and we're done, and we move on.
Absolutely, the overhead is really low. And
yeah,
and to answer the other part, or to finish that thought, was he did say as long as the artist that they've currently, commissioned stays the same, in his opinion, 53 is it. So
Yeah.
if they keep the same artist and the ownership stays the same, or the same, I mean, if you guys and I bought Topps, we're keeping it. I mean, there would be no reason to stop it.
I do not have any A's.
Pardon me?
I would discontinue the Oakland A's.
Okay, well, you still wasted your $5 on a Baltimore Orioles, so you're still a little bitter. That Acuna can't fill that hole in your heart.
Oh, it can today. I was really happy. The other thing
I'm surprised those are only selling for about $50.
Yeah, that's a good deal. So it depends, because I'm going to open this box tonight, and hopefully tonight, and whatever I get tomorrow, and I hope to grab a Torres, and if I can, awesome. If not, I'm going to try to scoop one up this week, because I have a feeling as this goes on and on that there's one or two things are going to happen, and always kind of does, is that they're not as rare as we thought, because we were told that they were following one. You got one of those guys per case.
Right.
On the jumbo case break I saw today, they pulled one of each. So that's not too bad. But if it comes out where that's the norm, then that's pretty good. I saw a guy bust on Twitter. He said that he opened a case of hobby, and he got one of each. So if that's what it is, then $50 is a pretty good price. But if it's not, and it's just kind of this first run of those cases, the first ones are out there and they become more scarce, you could see it go to a few $100 card. I mean, you just look like we've talked previously on some of these guys, just base Topps rookies. I mean, they're $50, $60 and they weren't short printed. So a year or two from now, that could be a $75, $125 card if their career breaks the right way. So at $50, it's not a bad investment, because I don't think it's going to go much farther down unless they just totally don't ever live up to any of the expectations they've already put forth and so far this season. The other thing, go ahead.
That's the thing I'm curious about, is with the factory set.
Yeah, I think that they're probably going to have, they'll probably, like with Harper, how he had the two different factory set images in 12.
Right. I'm just looking to see how they handle that. Do they use the same image? Because I want to put that past Topps. Do they have a little different alter code? Does it affect the values? Because people are going to want to know. And it's just one of those interesting things to see how it rolls out over the next month.
If they did an image variation, it would devalue one or the other. Most likely, I would imagine that the factory one would probably be a little less, I would imagine, because I mean, they'd be more readily available in theory. Yeah. I don't know what the print run of factory sets are these days, but
you look at the Harper one. I mean, the pack pulled one's a like $1,200 card, and then the two other variations that they have of it, it's running in anywhere from $10 to $30 on those other variations. So I have a feeling that they would be in there as a variation, possibly, but it's not an extra card. Like Harper was $661. These two cards are actually short prints of other cards in the set. There is a I think it's Ryan Sheriff that's $698, and then Smiley was $699. So those are regular base cards. So I don't know if they would add them in the factory set. We'll know July 4th, I think, is the release date for factory sets. So it might be worth going to Target and just buying a set and busting open to see what's in there. I don't know. The other thing that's coming out this week was there's a couple things. Was Leaf 2018 Leaf Metal U.S. Army football. Cover this real quick. It's $68 a box per blowout. You get one pack per box. There's 8 cards in that per pack. All of them are autographed. So you're going to get 5 metal autos numbered to 50, 2 selection tour autos, and a patch auto. There's only 199 cases, which means there's 2,985 boxes. The highlights of this is it's the top high school football players that participated in the All-American Bowl game. I think it was down in San Antonio in January. Some of the past participants were Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Andrew Luck played in this game. A lot of big names are in there, and there's all autographs. So if you're one of those guys who likes college football or one of those super prospectors on NFL players, this is going to be your first chance to grab those autos. No, I'm not a huge fan of the high school autos. There is a couple of kids from my alma mater here that might be in that game next year, and if they are, I'm definitely going to chase their autos just because no one really biggest come out of my school and played in the NFL. Jordan Richards, who plays for the Patriots, is the latest one. But it's kind of a neat product. The other thing that's coming out this week is this Friday, 2018 Panini Father's Day packs come out. Now, if you go into your LCS, there might be slightly different options, so confirm with them before you do these purchases, but this is per Panini. So if you buy 2017 Vertex football, you receive 4 packs. If you buy 17-18 Panini Prestige basketball, you get 3. 18 Donruss Racing, 4 packs. 18 Classics football 2. That's a really underrated product, by the way. A lot of good buyback autos in there. Panini Elite Draft Picks football, 2018 on that, 3 packs. 2018 Stars and Stripes baseball, 4 packs. 2018 Panini Victory Lane, you have 4 packs. And these packs have autos, relics, a bunch of kind of unique cards. I think Scott Brusha there is the one that's always put these together. He lived and breathed the card shop as a kid and through young adulthood before he went to work at Panini. And so he really knows what's cool about, what kind of unique things that they can put in these packs that they don't put in their regular packs. So if you guys have ever gone in and participated in these Father Day packs or picked any of them up?
Yeah, I haven't. There is one thing to mention about 2018's Father Day packs. In the past, there was a standalone football checklist. This year, it's a blend. So you have 71 cards, but they're all going to be mixed in. So you will have a lot like Goodwin Champions is, where it's just kind of a mesh of everything, or Allen and Ginter, where you have, non-sports all mixed in the base set as well. You're going to have baseball, basketball, football, soccer, and NASCAR all intermingled in the 71 cards. So a little bit different. I don't know if it matters much, because I think honestly, for most of us, we're just really going to collect, whatever you're after. If you're a baseball fan, football fan, that's probably going to be your target list. But it's always neat when, assuming that the local card shops give out the packs as they should and don't try to hoard them and, we're sold out, or limit how many you can have. If you do honestly get a legitimate card shop, it's nice I'm going to spend the money anyway. It may encourage me to buy a little bit more or buy a product that I wouldn't normally consider.
Yeah.
But it's a nice little incentive.
And also too, go ahead. Well, also too, I know if you, with certain breakers out there, they usually have special breaks set up this weekend for those Father's Day packs. And it's not always the things listed here as well. They might just do it if it's a all Panini break. Where if you hop in the break, they will, you'll hop in, and sometimes it usually has some high end stuff, but everybody in that break gets a pack or whatever they decide to do. So it's a pretty cool thing. Stefan, have you ever opened in these packs or picked up any cards on the secondary market?
I've attempted to. So I got 3 partial stories for you. One, I was at the National a few years back. I bought my boxes. They have a similar type program where you show up, you show your box, and they scratch it off and give you your packs. Decent stuff out of those from Panini. And like you said, it's Prussia that does a really good job on the sets. As Ben noted, they are a split set. But they've done it better than some of the Topps programs that similar type, like with the National Baseball Card Day. It's down to the individual shops, really, honestly. My most favorite shop had no issue giving out the packs as long as you showed up, buy your boxes, here's your packs.
Yep.
There's a shop that's a bit further out that was only, here's 1 pack per person, per group of people, and my wife got hosed out of her free pack.
Yeah.
Complete bullshit. But at the same time, we've had a third shop that, we show up, we buy our stuff, and I don't know, here's the box of the individual free giveaway packs. I don't know which ones are Panini or which ones are Father's Day, so just pick 2. Well, that's not what I paid for. I want to open up the Father's Day packs. Now, I addressed that with Tracy at the National last year, and he said, we'll look towards stamping the silver pack so they're not just a silver pack.
Yeah.
Whether they are this year, well, we'll see. But I hope they took that to note, at least to address, hey, these are Panini Father's Day packs. give them out for the Father's Day promotion, not just, I don't know, open something.
Yeah, well, Ken Kinsley of Beans Baseball, or a baseball card blog, is in the chat, and he said that he did Father's Day 5 years ago and installed some really cool cards from those packs. He ended up with a Sammy Watkins Lava, where the swatch was the new Era logo from his draft day hat. That's pretty awesome. And then also Thomas Hurdle Lava with a laundry tag. So those are some pretty awesome cards coming out. Great, really good to see. We're going to move on. What's Brewing is going to be our new releases for next week coming out. So next week we have Topps. It's a kind of a non-sports week next week. You have Topps Star Wars Last Jedi Series 2, Topps WWE Undisputed Wrestling. The big one is 2018 Panini National Treasure Soccer as the World Cup gets started. And by the way, I don't know if you guys saw that basically North America is going to host it in 2026 with U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Not a soccer guy, but I picked Brazil. So let's go Brazil. The U.S. isn't on. So 2017 Leaf Showcase Baseball Vault. Those always, whenever Brian Gray does something in those Leafs, I never buy it, but I always love to see it open because there's always some really interesting products in there.
Leaf has some gorgeous products.
Yeah, and he will never, as we talk, we'd like to see him. He'll never get a license because if you heard him talk in the past, he doesn't want to have to pay. And I understand he'll pay the players to use the images, but the leagues for the logos. It's for him. He says it's not worth the money there. So I understand that. I want to move us on to Infield Chatter, which is going to be our hobby talk section. The first thing that came up, and this is a little Homer and me and Ben probably, but and it's a little bit old news, but I want to talk about it anyway. I got some insight on this card today. The Bowman Shohei Ohtani Super Factor was found in Sacramento at an LCS that I've been to, where at the same LCS I pulled Brian at a 150 blue auto, and my Judge chrome auto as well. So if you're in Sacramento, go to HR Sports Cards and buy Bowman because obviously the big hits are coming out of there. It was John Muir. He's a photographer from Sacramento. He got in a hobby box, and it's pretty awesome that it was here in Sacramento. I did talk to someone at not that LCS, but my LCS. It's up the street from me. And she told me that John's been a customer of theirs as well for a long time. Really nice guy. And he has plans to fly down to Dallas and get the card graded same day. He's talked to Beckett about it. And I know that he's been in touch with Blowout Cards. I know their offer expired. I think it was May 30th. And the card got announced like a week later that he had it. And he'd been just opening a pack or two a day out of these boxes he bought. And was just kind of sitting on it. And then, oh, there it is. So I don't know if he's going, if that deal still stands with them, but I know he's been in talks with them about the card. My thoughts, though, is that he had to shoot, Ohtani got the shoulder or the elbow injury. And what do you think what that does with his card future? Kind of up in the air right now, 3 weeks. No one said that there's he's going to have Tommy John or what they call it, Ohtani John. Some folks on Twitter word today, I thought it was funny. But, personally, I don't think it's going to affect his value. Now, it might in the midterm just kind of slow it down a little bit. But if you're going to buy, I think now is the time to buy in. Why there might be some scared folks. I saw the show last week. Somebody posted a picture on Twitter where Ohtani cards were 75% off. Now, who knows what retail price he had listed on there that made him 75% off? He could have marked it up 150 what it was and then said 75 and still making a pretty good deal on it. But what are your thoughts, Stefan? Do you think that this injury could affect his cards going forward for the rest of the year?
Well, absolutely. I think at least through the rest of the year, in the long run, maybe not so much, as long as he comes back and shows the same hitting ability, pitching ability that he's shown so far this year. But that's just one of those risk rewards that you get for somebody who claims to be a pitcher hitter, that eventually something's going to give out. And sure, you have that concern with all of the prospects. I mean, Trout could rip out his knee, knocking on wood, mind you, could rip his knee out tomorrow and never play again. I mean, you could have a Bo Jackson situation. You pray that doesn't, but it's definitely going to affect it at least through the rest of this year.
So, Ben, do you think it's going to have effect on his prices or his value or his collectability?
Oh, absolutely. If I were John, I would hold on to this card, at least until Otani is deemed healthy and ready to come back. If he's out till 2020, you got to do the long play. I mean, we know the owner of the Bryce Harper Superfractor, and I know he's got it on eBay right now for $500,000 or best offer. You know, this guy really has bad luck. He pulled that card a week too late.
Yeah, but
that card went from a couple $100,000 potentially. It probably devalued by 60-70% overnight. The second he pulled that, I mean, if it was a $200,000-$300,000 card 2 weeks ago, it may or may not hit six figures. It really depends on how you're selling it. If you're selling it to a private third party versus at auction, you just never know. If you get into a bidding war and it becomes, me versus you, may the best man win. Local collector and I used to do that all the time over Cespedes cards before I realized I was literally bidding against him for every new Cespedes card. And then he and I started talking like, all right, you got this one, I got the next. And I mean, we were just getting stupid prices. We're buying $15 cards for $65 because it was literally, I have to beat you, until we realized we were one another. And it's like, hey, all right, cut it out. But if it were me in his position, I would sit on it.
well, if you were offered, so say somebody came to you, blew out, they had it for 100, they were offering 100K. They come to you and they're offering you 58, say 55 right now.
No.
Okay.
No, I mean,
but what happens when that next week it comes out and he's out until 2020, and then you never really know what he was?
Coming from an economics background, again, you have to know when to buy and when to sell. And sometimes the best way to sell is to not sell.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it gets devalued to the point where I mean, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe that card turns into a $500 card down the road if this guy never comes back.
Yeah.
But because he's a two-way player, you've got two chances of him coming back and succeeding as a pitcher or a hitter, if not both.
Yeah, I think that if it is Tommy John, that he either has the surgery and comes back as a hitter only, or if it's not quite that serious, but pitching will continue to injure his elbow, that he just stays a hitter and does some rehab and gets better that way and doesn't pitch anymore. Maybe even ends up in the bullpen, as a reliever or a closer. I kind of want to talk about like the direction of the hobby. So what players do you think are going to, we're in baseball season right now, are going to help drive upcoming products besides him? We have Acuna, Gleyber Torres, Devers, Albies. Do you see those guys? Do you see anybody else? My big question was Juan Soto. Will he be in 18 products? Non-Bowman. Will they be like Rhys Hoskins was this last year, where he broke out, but didn't have any rookie cards really until this year because of when he took off? What do you guys think?
I have him pegged as a update card.
Yeah,
I'm thinking. I know Bowman likes to tease those type of players as far as in draft and the number of sets that Bowman releases out throughout the years. Their first official draft, their next year, the next year. But I think that he makes an appearance either in update or at the very latest series 1, using him as a boost for that set.
Okay. And who do you think, if you were going to go and you were just saying, hey, I'm going to really like focus in on collecting this one guy, is it one of these guys from the list that I named, or is it somebody else that you'd be looking for to pick up?
Well, I mean, I'm just a Twins collector, so I'm not looking to collect any of these guys. But
these questions are always going to be hard to answer.
Yeah, but gun to your head.
But no, I mean, of those, I would definitely try to collect Albies and Acuna.
Yeah. If you have Mike Trout, you're not just giving it away because it's it's not a Twins or an A's card, right? You have a good Trout rookie, you're gonna hold on to it.
Well, yeah. I mean, unless you have a trade for a PSA 3.5 Harmon Killer Group, but that's another story. But no, yeah, you're definitely gonna hold on to them and at least play the stock market game for a little bit and do what you can.
Yeah, I mean, Acuna, he's 19 years old. I was reading an article earlier, and they were comparing Acuna and Torres, and I forget who the third one was. and they were saying one of these guys, odds are going to be a 90 WAR player by the end of their career. One's going to be 50, and one's going to be 22. And I can't think off the top of my head who the third one was.
Moncada?
And they said back in 90, pardon?
Moncada?
No. I can't think of who it was. So, but they mentioned three guys back in 98 who were in the same boat, and it was Beltre,
Jose Cruz?
See, now you threw me off. I'd have to go back and figure out what the six names were. But they compared three guys from today versus three guys from back then. One guy who, Beltre being the Hall of Famer, one guy who had a decent career, and one guy who, had a good career. 22 WAR is not bad, but it's not what they had projected. And the basic premise of it is prospecting. You're taking three young players, speeding up 20 years. We can review the guys from 98. We can't yet review the guys from 2018. But the odds are you don't know. One of these guys will probably be super successful. One will be very good, and one will have a solid career. But when you're talking about how that translates into dollars and cents, how that translates into collecting their cards and prospecting, you don't know. So really it comes down to pick the one that you think you're going to enjoy collecting the most if you are a prospector. And that goes for anybody, not just these group of guys. If there's anybody in the minor leagues right now, like a Guerrero, for instance, if that's your guy, collect him. Enjoy collecting his cards. If it turns out that you can make a profit, so that you can buy, a personal collection piece that maybe is out of your price range right now. I mean, we all have visions of buying a $10 pack, pulling that card, and it being a card that someday we can sell for hundreds. And then turning around and being able to buy something for our personal collection that right now, is beyond our reach.
Yeah.
So,
well, right now I'm hoping. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if I had to choose, a guy to collect the rest of the year, if that was my cup of tea, it would have to be Acuna. I think he's the best long-term investment as of right now.
Yeah, I believe the same. He's the guy. I'm hoping to pull something awesome out of the Series 2 box tonight to help me buy my 2011 Topps update set. I wish I would about 2 years ago when I started this process when it was like $140 for this set, and I was like, man, that's a lot for an update set. And now it's like $300 or $400. So yay.
So what you're saying is you're in the market for the update set.
2011 update set. If you're a guy or have a guy, I'm your Huckleberry. I've been looking on eBay, but it's been a little high. So if somebody has one privately for sale at Big Shep 79 on Twitter, we can trade. I got some good stuff, or I can buy it from you. Hopefully very soon we can work something out.
Sure.
I have a feeling, really quick is retail product availability I want to talk about. A lot of people, their only option is retail, going to a Walmart or a Target to pick stuff up. Every time I go, all I see is Panini stuff. It feels like recently Topps is just it's gone. It's there for a day or two and then it's gone. Bowman was left the shelves really quick. Everybody knows about the mega boxes, which I don't think ever made it to Sacramento, by the way. There was a buddy I met on Twitter that was hunting targets in Sacramento every day and asking them to look up in their guns. And they said, yeah, we just haven't received any. None of the targets have. I don't think it ever made this way. I just wanted to open the box. I want to spend $15, open the box, see that was what I thought it was, which is nothing, and move on.
Were they looking in the right spot? Because they were back by the toy section. They were not on the main shelf.
Yeah, no. I made a friend at the Target in Roseville on Douglas. I had the UPC, and I made the girl. She scanned it, and she was able to look. And I saw on her little gun, her little toy thing there, it showed all the stores in Sacramento. It says 0000 delivery, and it was just empty. And she goes, usually if we're getting a delivery here, I'll have a date or something or whatever it was, and nothing. So I kind of quit. He kept going for it for about a week. He got some from Hawaii where his mom and dad live. But just, product availability, do you think that with these guys, they're going to drive that product to move as fast as Ohtani did?
No.
Okay. The other real big thing I wanted to bring up was, and it's kind of been all over Twitter the last couple of days, was the Friel family. Ryan, if you're not familiar, Ryan Friel played in the MLB for about 7 years. He came up with the Blue Jays, played with the Reds for most of his career. I think he spent a season with the Orioles, and I know he finished off with the Royals. He unfortunately took his own life a few days before Christmas in 2012 and was the first baseball player ever diagnosed with CTE due, they think, to multiple concussions. His father reached out through some Facebook page trying to fill 3 binders of his son's baseball cards, one for each of Ryan's granddaughters or his granddaughters. A Montana-based collector, Matthew Christian, is leading efforts to get Friel cards to his father. He'll be sending the cards later this month. He's asking for donations to be sent, and his address is 3737 Corwin Street, Bozeman, Montana, 59715. We'll tweet that out from our personal accounts as well as our account here for the podcast. Go through your stuff. Wasn't a heavy collector here, but I know I have some Royals top sets from there where I had some extra cards. So hopefully I have a handful to provide and get out to his daughters. But it's one of those things. Let's show the collecting as a collecting community. Let's help this guy out. I mean, it's a sad story. CTEs affected a lot of football players, and
Right.
And more people than not. I mean, there's probably younger high school and junior college and college players that are suffering from this in different sports as well. It's something that we seriously need to look at. But if we can help somebody out by sending some cards, then that his kids can enjoy and kind of see that, hey, your dad made it to the major leagues, which is a huge deal, and played for a number of seasons, lived his dream probably, and they get to see that. So I'd love us to do that.
No, absolutely. And just as a quick follow-up, we should all throw a shout out to the card collecting community as a whole, because I'm sure the Friel family is going to be overwhelmed with donations. I don't know if you guys remember the story that happened a year or two ago. I think it was last season even, where a young man here in Northern California had lost his home near Santa Rosa to a wildfire. And he was a big Oakland A's fan, and he lost his whole collection. And I had sent him a care package. The Oakland A's got involved and tweeted it out. I think every major league team sent him a care package of T-shirts and hats and baseballs and some cards. And he was, I'm sure, overwhelmed with donations from the community. I'm sure his collection is not that it's the same, of course, but I'm sure he was so inundated with donations to where his personal collection probably is much more enormous than it was prior to the fire. But what I love about the community is it's such a tight-knit group for the most part. When something like this happens, when one person speaks, everybody kind of offers what they have.
Yep.
It really is about the kids. And when you start talking about 3 little girls who lost their dad, of course, that's the most important thing. And if their grandfather, his dad, can do something for them to kind of keep his memory alive, and we can all partake in it as a community and kind of say, hey, we're here for you, if this is all we can do, I think that's pretty amazing. And like I said, I'm sure the Friel family is going to feel the love from the collectors, as they're probably going to get a lot more package than they had ever anticipated.
No, definitely. I think it's really cool. And we're gonna our last segment tonight is gonna be what we call the spotlight. This is gonna be a bunch of different things for us tonight. It's gonna be a great Twitter follow that each of us have. Some nights it hopefully will be collector interviews, our experiences that we want to talk about. But Stefan, you're up, bud.
Sure. I kind of went back and forth on who I wanted to choose from my huge Twitter group of friends. However, I landed on at Mel Rises, wonderful lady, super collector of a little bit of this, a little bit of that, between pop figures that she's not addicted to, Topps cards, memorabilia, and she was one of our bridesmaids. So huge personal collection, personal connection to her. And she's definitely worthy of your follows. So go send some her way.
Outstanding. Ben, who do you have tonight?
Oh, well, a collector that is synonymous with the hobby, and a personal friend of mine is Tanner Jones. I know he's known to many as the Conseco Super Collector. He can be found at TanmanBB on Twitter. I think he's the Conseco Collector, something stupid like that. His personal website. He does custom cards. So if you got a little one like Robbie, I know you and your wife Tim just recently had a little one. When his favorite onesie is outgrown, you can cut it up and send it to Tanner, and he'll encapsulate it into a relic card. So I think it's customcuts.com if I'm not mistaken. But if you go to follow Tanner, Unfortunately, he has the first dibs, I think, in the collecting community on Conseco cards. So whenever there's a Conseco card that pops, usually I hit him up and say, "Hey, have you bought yours yet?" Because I know his pockets run deeper than mine. And even though I'm the A's super collector, I do wait on my Consecos since that's all he collects. And if you've not had a chance to check out his collection, it is stupid crazy awesome. I mean, it is amazing. And when I was putting some stuff together for my A's PC, some checklists, I had to hit him up and go, "Hey, what is this?" Because like the old Rob Broder cards from the late '80s aren't clearly marked because they weren't licensed, and they're just photographs, and it's hard to decipher sometimes one from another. So he was a great resource for me, and he's a really good friend. So if you haven't yet heard of him, you must be new to the hobby, but definitely give him a follow because he's a great guy, and he's a great resource for card collecting as well.
Yeah, I know that he kind of posts whenever when he buys something, so you can kind of remember when he adds and why he added that Conseco to his collection, which I think is neat. I would love to do that. I don't have the time to be that detailed at this point in my life.
The last card show, I saw a Conseco out of 5, I think it was. And so I snapped a picture and said, "Hey, do you have this?" And he goes, "Yeah, I do, but I wouldn't mind having another one." He goes, "Can you give me the guy's PayPal?" And so I'm negotiating at the card show. Tim and I, we live in the greater Sacramento area of California, and Tanner's down in Stefan's neck of the woods in Texas. So here I am brokering a deal. And then I was going to buy a card myself, a Henderson and McGuire card. There's 2 of them. And I tried to broker a deal like, "Hey, I just sold this Conseco for you. Cut me a deal on the McGuire and Henderson." He's like, "No." And I'm like, "Get me right now." But yeah, Tanner's a great dude.
Yeah, that's what I love about this hobby. And I really got into it. And I had a Twitter account for a long time and really never used it. And I found all these amazing collectors on Twitter. These 2 guys were one of them. I mean, Ben and I don't live too far apart, and this is how we found each other. My spotlight tonight, and it's funny because Ken said he was heading to bed, but every time he heard the name Brent, he took a shot. So hopefully,
he must be drunk.
Yeah, and so that's my Twitter follow night is at Brent and Becca. You can find them on Twitter, find them on eBay. Great knowledge. A kind man. I mean, really, I sent him the Beckett with Ohtani on the front, and the reason I had him autograph it, and the reason being is his picture's on top. It was talking about all the cases of Heritage Bus, and he goes, "Why do you want me to sign this? And how much do I need to pay you for me to sign this?" And I was like, "No, I think it's awesome. It's someone I know on the front of Beckett. There's a great article in there about him. He does a lot for the hobby. He provides a lot of information. He opens a lot of the same products, so we get an idea of what's coming out or what to expect. I do appreciate that. Like I said, if you're a player collector, you're a team collector, you're a set collector on those big releases, go to him, find out what he has. Great deals there. So I want to thank everybody for attending our.
One more thing on Brent, real quick, Tim, is I got a degree in math, and I rely on that man because he reads the pack odds. And so instead of, I guess it's the lazy collector in me. Whenever there's a rare card, I'll always go to Brent because that's what he does for a living. He does the math for me, so I don't have to use my brain calculator to try to figure out how rare a certain card is. So for anybody out there that hasn't yet utilized Brent's amazing expertise, he's great if you're not familiar with how to read codes on short prints, if you don't know how to decipher pack odds, because pack odds are only as good as knowing how many cases and boxes were made. Yep. It doesn't matter if it's 1 in 100 boxes. I mean, if there's only 100 boxes made, then there's only 1 card. And so because Brent buys in such volume, you have to have your base number before you can start breaking down odds, and so he's just a phenomenal all-around resource.
Well, the other great thing is he compares it to the past few years because he keeps those notes, and so he can kind of give you an idea of how it's going one year over the next, which is really good. So I do want to, like I said, I want to thank everybody for joining us on our first official episode of About the Cards podcast. Again, it's going to be here on YouTube live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. West Coast time, Pacific Standard Time, 11 East Coast. We'll have it. It's on iTunes. It'll be up there shortly. I don't know how long it takes to go over there, but it will be there. We're official today. Stitcher's coming. Follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. And then, like I said, we'll be here Wednesdays, and we appreciate the feedback. Subscriptions to YouTube, so we can get some love that way. We do appreciate it. We want to know what you guys are thinking, or what you guys want to talk about. Bring us topics, things you see in the hobby. We'd love to share your stories with folks. We're going to, there's talks about definitely getting some of you on here and working that out. I think it'd be great for all of us to kind of get to know each other, because we see each other on Twitter, and I feel like I've known these guys for a long time. And I've never met Stefan, but there he is, and we have a show together, and it's great. It takes away some of the mundane parts of our day, or when we're having a bad day, to talk about cards and see what other guys are getting and what's going on. And we are the collector's collector. I told Ben earlier, last night I felt like we are the blue collar collectors. I mean, we're not chasing down super hits. We have our specific needs and likes and wants, and it's really team and player based. So I do appreciate it, you joining us tonight, and I hope to see you all in the future. And thanks for joining us, and have a good night.
Yep. Have a great one, guys.
Take care, guys.